What is going on YouTube and Diablo fans? My name's Andreas and as always welcome back to Mana and Motherboards. So today I'm coming to you a bit jaded and a little bit conflicted, and I'll get into why. So I've been playing Diablo 4 for the last month roughly, since the new launch of the Lord of Hatred expansion, and yeah, it's been a bit hit and miss for me, and I think that's kind of going to be the topic of today's video. I am feeling a little underwhelmed. So I started out with the Warlock and I played through the campaign and finished the campaign, dived right into the end game, started progressing through the various torment levels and all of that, and at the end I was a little bit underwhelmed, like I mentioned, and I thought, okay, maybe it's just the Warlock class that is making me feel this way, so I decided to switch over to something that I knew and I enjoyed, which was the Sorceress class, and in particular the Ball Lightning build, and that is what I am currently playing in the game. And as you can see here, we're doing a Pit 100, and that is Torment 12 in terms of difficulty level. And the Ball Lightning Sorceress felt a whole lot more fluid than the Warlock builds that I was playing. I was playing the, I can't remember what it's called now, Dreadclaws build. I was playing the, what is it even? I can't remember the names of the skills and the builds I was playing, but I tried a bunch of various builds with the Warlock and it just wasn't captivating me. I was feeling a little bit conflicted and jaded with the game, like nothing was really feeling that new and exciting, and just the power level of the Warlock in general just felt a little bit underwhelming compared to what I saw other classes doing and what I had felt in the game previously in the past. So I also played the Paladin quite substantially in Season 11 and had a whole lot of fun with that class. But again, I started leveling up a Paladin, and again I felt that same sort of underwhelming feeling that I had with the Warlock. And yeah, then the Sorceress just felt a lot better for me. I had also seen that the Barbarian was doing really fantastically this season, and in a way I'm quite surprised that Blizzard made it that the Warlock and Paladin, the two classes for this new expansion and this new season, were kind of the weakest and bottom of the tier lists in terms of their build power and overall general class power. So that was quite a surprising move by me, and I think let's just quickly get into the things that I haven't been enjoying or liking in the current sort of state of the game and the current season. So one of the things that I do like and I have enjoyed is the whole charm system in this season and in the new Lord of Hatred expansion. I think it adds a cool element to the whole game, and it is nicer in my opinion to have the charm system instead of having all your passives in your skill tree. And I like that whole sort of mechanic of taking out the passives from your skill tree, reworking your skill tree, and just in general having that to be a different sort of mechanic and way that we play and build our characters in the game currently. So that is something that I have been enjoying, is the charm system. It's also exciting to craft charms, to find them. Just in general, using that whole new mechanic is quite an awesome sort of thing going on in the game at the moment, and I really do enjoy that. And the next thing that I really like is the whole sort of item system at the moment, how they've reworked items and how you can craft with them now, and just in general how you interact and use items in the game. It's just a much better system than it used to be, a much simpler system, a much more sort of thought out and just a better crafted system. I know that's a funny word to use for it, but it is just a better crafted system overall, and I really enjoy the crafting aspect of the game, but I have also found in the crafting mechanic and system at the moment, it is somewhat limited compared to some other competitor games like Path of Exile, and I think it could, take it a step further. I know it's a good basis and bones at the moment, but I do think that it could be slightly tweaked and worked a bit differently to provide a little bit more variation, a little more risk, a little more sort of gambling involved, and all of that. I think it's a solid bones and basis, but I would like to see it a little sort of further fleshed out and worked on. I also do like the sort of difficulty progression of the game and the torment difficulties and levels. I think it's a nice linear sort of progress with certain like capstones and ceilings that you have to hit and reach, and working your way through the torments. It's not like it used to be where you'd be struggling on torment 1, you'd put together 1 or 2 unique items, and suddenly you could do torment 12. The progression is a whole lot more linear and a whole lot more fleshed out and better, in my opinion. I think like each torment has its place and has its sort of value in the greater scheme of the game. And also, just going back to items, I think the drop rates are so much better than they've ever been, because it used to just rain legendaries, uniques, mythics, all of that kind of stuff. And on the one hand, that can be cool, but also in general, I think just getting everything just sort of handed to you on a silver platter doesn't really make the reward and the dopamine hit that sort of successful in the game, or that exciting. So I much prefer the sort of drop rate of mythics and uniques and items and how you have to grind for them now at the moment in the current sort of meta and state of the game. It is much better in my opinion. So I think lastly, one of the other big sort of changes and one of the cool mechanics and systems that I do like in the current state of the game is the war plan skill tree. So not the war plans themselves, but the actual skill tree and how you can tailor it to your specific sort of wants and needs and make it, work for you. I think that is a very cool addition that they made to the end game and the war plans in general. And I think it just sort of works out quite nicely in rewarding you with some good, solid rewards for the sort of difficulty investment and time investment. So I think that works pretty nicely. So sort of more importantly, and on the sort of ranting aspect of the video that we're making today, what are the things that I don't like in the game at the moment, and what has sort of not been gelling with me, and why can I not connect with the game and really find the same sort of level of enjoyment and enthusiasm that I do for Project Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 Resurrected and all of that. And the first one is the end game. I think they made some solid strides in terms of the war plans and how you can sort of tailor your end game a bit more. But the actual content itself, nothing's really changed, and I'm finding the content in the end game a little bit bland and a little bit sort of not that exciting. It's all these sort of old mechanics that we are used to and old bits of content that aren't feeling all that fresh and all that new and exciting, and the war plans have just kind of like shifted the food around on your plate and made it look like a new end game, but it hasn't really felt properly like a new end game. And I mean, we're not sort of so far in the end game. We're only doing Torment 12 content right now and some Torment 12 bossing and things like that. I mean, I guess you could call it the end game, but overall, the whole war plans and what we have on offer in terms of the end game isn't feeling that overwhelmingly exciting to me. It's really kind of just feels like regular old Diablo 4, and I think that's a little bit sad in some ways. I expected a little bit more from the war plans and what it would provide. But like I mentioned, I do like the whole sort of skill progression tree aspect of the war plans, but I just don't think that the war plans themselves is enough of a change to really sort of call the end game of Diablo 4 a whole new game. So I am a bit underwhelmed with the end game. I think you kind of get all this excitement building up to the end game, and then you kind of think, what do I do now? Like, where am I? Like, I've got decent gear. What do I progress from here? And you mean you level up your glyphs and stuff like that, and you find better charms and your unique charms and all of those things, but like the content isn't all that exciting. And then also in terms of items. So I mentioned to a friend of mine who is also a really big Diablo fanatic and really enjoys the Diablo franchise and games, and he hasn't played Diablo 4 in quite a while, and I mentioned to him all of the changes that have gone on in the game, and I said, are you keen to join me to play some Diablo 4 and get into the new season a bit and the new expansion and stuff like that? And then he asked me, he basically said, so all the changes you mentioned sounds very cool and sounds interesting, but is the game still just finding the same items and then trying to find a better version of that item and grinding for the same item but just a better version of it? And in a nutshell, when he said that, I couldn't argue and say no, the game's completely different. It kind of is just finding the same items and then trying to find GA affix versions of those items and better sort of rolls on those items and all of that. And I couldn't argue with the fact, because he said if the game's still like that, then I'm not interested in playing it. And he basically said, you know, that was his problem with Diablo 4, that you just find the same stuff over and over again, and you don't get that like same dopamine hit as Diablo 2 Resurrected when you find a item and when it hits the floor you already know it's good, because that item is just base level good no matter what the roll is. And yeah, hunting for the same items over and over again can get a little bit boring and a little bit one-dimensional. So in terms of items, I completely understand why a lot of people, and myself included, are feeling like the end game can be a little bit boring at the moment. And moving on from there, just again, the content in the end game, just having a bit more sort of variation in terms of like maps that you could do, or crazy bosses, or I don't know what my suggestion would be in terms of making the end game more exciting. The tower is kind of a cool thing to push the limits, get on the leaderboard, and that might be something I try and do a bit later on in the season. But for the moment, I don't really see what is the whole sort of end game appeal. And you know, I just kind of feel a little bit lost in the game right now. I'm kind of just like mindlessly doing pit and upgrading my glyphs and like just mindlessly doing war plans, but what is it leading towards, and what am I trying to do with it all? I actually don't know. So I am feeling a little bit lost. And my last sort of rant is again something I touched on earlier, where this whole new season and whole new expansion with the Paladin and the Warlock is very cool, but I'm very underwhelmed and surprised at how it seems like Blizzard didn't do enough testing with the Warlock and Paladin, because they aren't feeling all that strong in the new season. That's basically all about them. They are the new classes, the new characters, and it should be all about them being OP, you know. I mean, that's kind of what we all expected, I think, that they would be overpowered because they are the new selling point of this new expansion, and they just aren't really feeling like that at the moment. And it's kind of a bit strange and a bit confusing, and I'm feeling lost in Diablo 4. Am I the only one? I don't know. I would love to hear from you guys what you think about the current state of Diablo 4. Are you still engaged? Are you still enjoying the season? How has it been for you? All of that stuff I'd really love to know in the comments below. And at least on the one hand, we have Diablo 2 Resurrected, the new Season 14 coming up in the next couple days, so you can definitely expect a lot more content from us on Diablo 2 Resurrected. I think I'm going to put Diablo 4 down for a couple weeks whilst I get stuck into the new season of Diablo 2 Resurrected, and we'll definitely catch you there for that new content and streaming for that. So please, if you have enjoyed this content, consider subscribing to the channel, join our Discord community for that new Diablo 2 Resurrected Season 14 launch. We'd love to play with you, we'd love to get involved with you, and just in general, if you like the content, any subscriptions would be much appreciated. Any likes, shares, views, all of that good stuff is always appreciated, and we'll catch you again very soon for some more Mana and Motherboards. Cheers.